Welcome back to Florida Pediatric TV. We are filming this at the end of the fourth week of the 2014 legislative session. Doug, first item on everybody's agenda, booster seats. It's moving.
It is moving, and as you know, there's not been any movement this week on the issue. However, I spoke with Chair Hooper, and he's the chairman of the next committee. He is a co-sponsor of the bill, and he said he will get it on his next agenda. I also spoke with Representative Jimmy Petronas, and he is the chair of the committee after Representative Hooper's committee, and he said he has no problems with the bill now that the amendments are on there, and he will get it on the agenda. So I'm very encouraged about where that issue and those bills stand.
Okay, and the Senate is okay so far?
The Senate is fine. It's gotten all the way through to appropriations, and I think at this point they're waiting on the House to have some more activity.
This might be the year.
There you go.
The 5-year ban, the legal immigrant kids. So there's been some action on that too?
Yes, there has. As you may recall, we were having some difficulty in the Senate getting that bill heard. However, Chairman Bean did allow the bill to be heard in his Health Policy Committee. He voted against the bill. However, that's fine. The bill passed through that committee. And in the House, it's been stalled out for quite a while, but I think that's primarily because it just wasn't moving in the Senate. So I'm hopeful that this activity this week on the bill will get things moving again.
I think Bean got a lot of heat during the campaign related to that, and so I'm sure that had a lot to do with his decision to vote against, but it went through, so that's great.
Mm-hmm.
I believe there's been action on the step therapy and the scope of practice bills.
Yes, I'll take scope of practice first. In the House, the issue, of course, is a priority of the leadership there, and there was a lot of activity with workshops and a special select committee in the House early on in the committee week process. It hasn't moved since in the House because they've been waiting on the Senate. In the Senate this week, Senator Grimsley's bill 1352 did move through the Health Policy Committee. There are a lot of people there in support of it, and it's not on an agenda for this coming week yet. I'm not so sure about the ultimate success of that effort.
But there is some movement there.
Correct.
What about e-cigarettes? There's been action on that.
E-cigarettes, yes. This week the bill was heard in its final committee in the House. However, there is language in the House bill which is opposed by a lot of the various advocates on these issues, the American Cancer Society, American Lung Society, etc. And the language deals with preemptions. It preempts to the state the authority to deal entirely with anything dealing with e-cigarettes, and the bill also preempts to the state the ability to address issues related to the sale of tobacco products. And I think those are the two key issues that the advocates are very concerned about on those bills.
And so we went with the advocates and opposed the bills as in their current form.
Yes, well, we opposed the House bill. The Senate bill does not contain any of that preemption language, and the Senate bill currently resides in the House. So it's passed the entire Senate, and now it's over in House messages.
Okay, so hopefully that'll be the bill that wins out.
Yes, and you mentioned step therapy. I didn't jump onto that one, but there was activity in both chambers this week on the step therapy issue. In the House, the bill got through the first committee, which is insurance and banking. Unfortunately, in order to get the bill heard, they had to remove the language which we liked dealing with prior authorization forms. However, it was a big deal to get the bill heard and through committee. It still has 3 stops in the House, which is a lot, and there's a lot of opposition to that bill. In the Senate, Senator Grimsley is the sponsor, and the bill got through committee this week. She did not remove any of the language in the bill, so it is still in its original form as filed, and the bill's already on an agenda for next week, and I believe that's the last committee hearing that it will need in the Senate in order to get to the Senate floor.
Okay, great. Lastly, we've been getting a lot of emails from chapter members regarding the fact that the Medicaid HMOs are not paying or not properly paying the increased amount in many circumstances required by the Affordable Care Act. And unfortunately, because we have a lawsuit against Florida Medicaid, the agencies involved with Medicaid have decided to ignore us, refuse to meet with us, and so we've been forced to contact them through the attorneys for the state. And so I think just this morning you have sent a letter on our behalf to the lead attorney in the Attorney General's office for the state, pointing out this problem that some HMOs have never paid the correct amount for even the first 2 quarters of 2013, which was supposed to have occurred by mid-February of this year. And there are also a lot of errors with vaccine administration payments, etc. So watch your email. We will send a copy of what we have just sent off to the state out for everybody to see, and hopefully we'll get some attention to this problem. At this point, it doesn't appear that the Medicaid agency, ACA, has dealt with this at all, but it's time that they did. So hopefully we'll have some better information next week about where this goes. That's it for this week. We'll be back next week with an update on the 5th week of the session. As always, please let me know if there are issues we didn't cover or if you have specific questions.